Guys.
Graham, Kelly.
Cutting Sems, the after show. Welcome, everyone. I kid you not, this has been my face last hour at the TV.
What?
Bugging out of my head. Bugging out of my head. First of all, I didn't even have time to make myself another drink because I chugged mine. I felt so uncomfortable watching that just happen that I didn't even have time to go make another one. So go get your own mixers. We get them on Amazon. God knows you're going to need it for the finale. I think I got to bring like 3 bottles home next week from the office. That took such a turn. I guess we'll start with the easy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is Blake and Justin. And I feel like there's literally 2 things to say about each of them. Blake, amazing. Justin, like, what are you still doing here? I felt like that was it. Blake's hometown, amazing hometown. They gave him 20 minutes where it just went swimmingly. What did we think of Blake's family? Blake's family crushed it.
Blake's family belongs on reality TV. Like I wanted at the time, I was wanting Blake and Katie to get together so they can just make one giant like Bachelor family spinoff situation starring Blake's family because they are incredible. I love them. They're amazing. We need so much more of them.
Yeah, we love the Moynes family, obviously. And, you know, they had a lot of hype leading up to their hometown just with us personally because, like, oh, my gosh, Emily Moynes is going to be on our TV. And then she was on, and she was – I mean, they were all great. They lived up to the expectations and then some. It was a great, great hometown. And then, yeah, Justin – the Justin stuff is just, you know, I don't know why it's still happening. I will say, and I know we're obviously going to get into the Greg stuff.
Yeah.
I now love Justin because he has a very real chance of becoming part of the final 2, and it looks like he is going to be part of the final 2.
I think technically he is off 2 technicalities.
Who would have thought?
It's insane. I also want to talk about how his family, like, I feel sad for Justin now. At first I was kind of laughing and making jokes about him, like, oh, like his family doesn't even care about him. Like they basically hung up on him when he was like, you guys coming? They're like, nah, we're all set. Like, oh my God, it was honestly so mean. Like, what do you mean your family could give a fuck? Like, I'll always be surprised by the families who just so clearly like don't believe in reality TV and don't believe in this shit. So they just like are fine embarrassing their kids on a national level.
And they have the ultimate out this season where they could just be like, we don't feel safe coming down to hometowns. We don't want to travel. Instead, they were like, no, we don't want to do that at all. Boom. And so he had his 2 friends come. I felt bad for Justin as well.
Didn't even really use that excuse, just went straight to like, this all kind of seems ridiculous. I don't know how you could be ready to propose to somebody for knowing them this amount of time. Justin definitely going to need some, I feel like they needed some drinks after that phone call. Just want to make sure I hit it hard again because, you know, I of course got that text from Noah.
I was just going to say, friend, tell us more about Owens.
Owens. Get yours at Amazon. Thought I said it before. Clearly, I didn't do a good enough job. Amazon.com/Owens Mixers. Here it is. Here's the bottle. You can make yourself an amazing cocktail. Like I said before, I downed mine already because that was just so incredibly painful. But Justin's parents, I'm torn because this is the thing. If Justin was Blake and was doing that well, and Justin's parents were like, yeah, we're not coming, we'd all be like outraged. It'd be like, oh my God, he just screwed Justin so badly. But we never really thought Justin had a shot anyway. So it's like, well, you know, Justin's parents are kind of helping him out. Like Katie's going to send him home. And it's an easy excuse to be like, I just don't really think we're there yet. You know, we don't know each other's families, didn't get to meet your parents. Justin's parents clearly are not down with the whole situation, which is fine. In the long run, probably better for Justin.
But at this point, Katie might just need warm bodies to stand at a rose ceremony.
Yeah.
Like, people are dropping out. Michael's gone.
Dropping like
now
flies.
Greg is going to leave. Justin and Blake are kind of all she has left. It is the only thing she has left right now. It's just we're really getting down to it.
It really is. I bet she's wishing that Andrew Us is waiting in the wings somewhere. Like, what the hell, man?
Michael, what's crazy is I feel like she went through this process and it was so tumultuous, and now she's out of it, and these guys are like still hitting her up. Like Michael's still commenting on her Instagrams. Like it's like what's happening? I feel like this was such a bizarre experience. Just want to finish the Blake hometown by reiterating how much Emily Moynes crushed that. One of the best moms, I think, on a hometown. Great questions, great personality, did such a good job. So did Blake's sister. And apparently she got Katie a dildo with the Canadian flag all over it. That's what Katie tweeted out. This is a picture of it. So it's just some fantastic stuff from Emily Moynes. And then, guys, I really think that we can just debate this Greg situation for like forever. I don't really know what happened. The hometown went really well.
Really well.
Greg, I flip-flopped on Greg 40 times this episode. I wasn't really down with Greg. And then I'm seeing Greg pouring his heart to his family about how much he loves Katie and talking about how, you know, he hasn't felt this way in ever. And he feels like since his dad died, he's been kind of, you know, living in the shadows almost. And Katie's been able to like pull him out. And it felt so heartfelt and legitimate that I think he took such a leap to express those feelings. And then he felt like Katie totally shut him down. And I almost think it was an ego thing. Like she hurt his ego so badly that he was like, I have to leave.
I kind of feel that way too. I also think about kind of when he was talking to his parents, like you were saying, the reactions of his family to how he was acting, I think were really what sold it on my side of things. Like he was expressing himself. That was nuts. But even his family was like, wow, Greg, like it's so great to see you like this, like blah, blah, blah. You know, this is fantastic. That video montage they made him, like so excited for him. Like it just, they seemed so genuinely like happy for him to be doing something like this. It makes me think like, he really was in that space and he's actually being genuine. Like I was completely sold by all of that.
I couldn't have been more sold in that moment.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is we just haven't really seen this Greg all season. And we've talked about that where like, I don't know where he stands all the time. He's emotional, but he doesn't talk about his feelings all that much to Katie. And then you get to the hometown and that's all he can talk about. He's saying, this is the happiest I've ever been. I'm falling in love. This is definitely going to end with an engagement. And he's just going on and on and on, which is good. It seems like he's very much in love with Katie. I could see how when he expresses that to Katie, that maybe she feels a little bit overwhelmed because maybe she hasn't seen this side of Greg either. And she would have loved to hear all this, but maybe in smaller bites as we went out throughout the season. But instead it was just a dump truck of stuff. And Katie didn't really know how to react to it. But I'm with you, Fran, where I've been mixed on Greg all season. Coming into tonight's episode, I was like, he's just kind of Greg to me. I don't really have a feeling one way or the other. And then I went from loving him to not liking him to loving him again. And now I really don't know where I fall on Greg. Like, was that all performative? I don't know.
Right.
I really don't know. It's so hard because I think Katie made up her mind early on. And she's, you know, a stick to your guns kind of gal. Where I think she, like she said, she made the decision that she was not going to tell any of these guys that she was in love with them because she felt like it would be unfair to the other guys. Smart decision, good. She didn't know that was going to come back and bite her in the ass. Like she was sticking to that and clearly wanted to reassure Greg's family how she felt. Like without telling Greg and kind of breaking that pact that she made for herself, it was like, Greg will be here next week, saying all these things, trying to reassure everyone. Like, I feel like she really tried to tell everyone or communicate to everyone that she was going to pick Greg, but like without really saying it because she still can't Greg just wanted Katie to be like, it's you, forget everyone else. It's already over. And Katie like can't really do that right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, she could, but
it's always a bad,
but it's like, And I think she tried to communicate that to him, but then at the end, like when all this blows up and he goes to see Katie again, they have that long conversation. And when Katie's like down on her knees, like so emotional, and she's like, I said, like, if you're gone, like I'm done, like I'm leaving. For him to not be like, okay, well, I'm leaving. and you should leave with me, made me think like, well, now Greg just wants out. Like now he like sees his window to leave and now he's just leaving. Because I think she would have left if he was like, okay, that we're done with this. Like, let's go.
Yeah. To what Trent said before, two things. I think that Katie's reaction very much like to the first like overload of, it's honestly, when I look up love terms, it's like love bombing.
Yeah.
Greg was like doing a lot of that. And I think she was overwhelmed.
She was overwhelmed.
Shut down. Yeah. I think she like shut down.
He's very awkward in those situations as well.
Yeah.
Like and that's not a knock to her, but she like, and you can see it in the Men Tell All, you can see it in other interviews. You can tell she locks up in those situations.
Big time.
She locked up.
100% she did. And then when all this is going on, when Greg doesn't say, he like kind of sees the opportunity to like, to me, it felt like he wanted to be in control of the situation. So he took control of the situation. Like he did not, Katie did not say, I love you to him. And he was so like annoyed by that he shifted it around and convinced himself he no longer wanted to be there, despite what he said, to like drive the point home and almost like teach her a lesson. Like if I'm thinking that Greg's an asshole, that's the way I'm thinking. But I do think he's like hurt and whatever, but it's very, very awkward way to act.
And I did see a couple of people on Twitter saying, like, this guy forgot that he's on a reality show. He forgets that she's dating all these guys. And I understand that. You get a few of that. Every season there's at least one guy, not usually this far into the show, who is like, I can't take it that you're dating all these other guys and that you haven't said, I love you to any of us. But then there is the part that he's trying to convey where he's like, forget the roses. I don't care about the roses. I don't care about number one and number two. Like, are we going to do this? And at that point, like, I still don't know. I'm having a hard time trying to decide what Greg actually wants. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
Did he freak out and blow up? And he was like spinning around like a tornado in that hotel room because he wanted to make it so intense that Katie wouldn't take him back so that he could then leave. That's where I lean. I lean that like he realized how deep he was. She maybe didn't feel that way, even though he overwhelmed her with her feelings. And then he was like, I'm just going to spin out so I leave the show where she kicks me off.
Like a self-sabotage situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think he felt I think he felt embarrassed. I think he felt like, but the way he communicated it was wrong. Like, you know, people always say hurt people. And he was really, I think he was really hurt in that moment where he, like Kelly said, love bombed Katie. And she said, I just love looking at your face. Like I would freak the fuck out if I said the shit that Greg said to someone and that person was like, I just love looking at your face. And then it got so uncomfortable because you could tell Greg was baiting her. Like that was a classic conversation you have with your parent when you're like a kid. Yeah. And you say something wrong and your mom's like, well, why do you think I think that? Like, how do you know, like, you know, because Greg was trying to get Katie to say like, oh, I just hurt you by not telling you that I loved you back. Yeah. And instead she was just like, you just seem unhappy. And he's like, well, why do you think I'm unhappy? Yeah. And she couldn't really, like, she wouldn't admit like, oh, it's because you just told me like all this shit and I didn't give anything back to you. Like he wanted her to realize that she didn't. It was all very uncomfortable. But like I said, I think he lashed out majorly after that, tried to put this all on her. And he got mean, like saying, what did he say? He was like, I felt like telling all these things to you. I was like talking to a stranger. Like that's mean.
It was mean. It was really sad to see. And I think you're right about that, friend. The baiting or whatever. But she responded at one point. Like she was like, you seem uncomfortable. You seem happy, whatever. And he kept being like, well, why? And she she did say, she was like, because of the whole situation, because this sucks, because there are other guys, without saying him, because I didn't just say I loved you. She said the answer that he was looking for, but she didn't say it in the exact way that he wanted. She didn't like cop to what she did right away.
Right.
What I'm talking about it. Greg is a manipulative asshole.
No, there was some major manipulation going on.
I hated it.
There really was.
I thought his initial, like their conversation on the couch, their original conversation that went from, I thought they were going to get
that was good. Exactly. That was good.
And then 2 seconds later it shifted.
And then
where
He went
she
into
didn't tell
manipulate
him what
mode.
he wanted to hear. And then, like, I thought that was all fine between the two of them because that's just two people. One is on a reality show. I mean, they both are. But then the other one is just like, I just told you all these things, and I just want you to tell me that you understand those things. That's a fine conversation, a fine argument to have. But then when he goes to her hotel room and starts freaking out and going all over the place, that's when it gets manipulative to me. And he is baiting her, and he's trying to tell her things that she doesn't necessarily believe, and then he's storming out. Like, that's when I flipped back on Greg, when I was like, he's just trying to be an asshole, and he wants to leave the show no matter what now.
Yeah, he did not give her the chance to, like, make it better. Like, he came in there with what seemed like his mind made up. He threw out all these accusations at her, and then when she tried to, when she tried to explain herself or even get them to a better place, he didn't want to hear it. He was done. He like totally was out already. So I really think he panicked and his feelings got real, and his family got involved, and then he got his feelings hurt, and he was like, I can't believe this all just happened on reality TV. Like, I don't give a fuck about this show. I don't give a fuck about roses. Like, this is my real life. I really thought that this was something. And now, like, it all came. He definitely, in his mind, thought, like, there's no way we can get away from this. Like, there's no way I'm going to forget about her embarrassing me on TV like this, which, she really didn't do. She panicked and it was uncomfortable, but like, it wasn't on purpose.
Right.
Like, it was not on purpose. And she tried to make the situation better. He wouldn't hear it. And he got up and left. He just totally left.
And if anything, to be honest, without Greg freaking out like this and even saying most of these things that he like said to Katie, if he had said it in like a different way or just had a regular conversation without this freak out, I think Katie still ends up looking a little weird and Greg ends up looking like the mature guy who just wants an answer and really loves her.
Yeah.
Like, if he didn't freak the fuck out, I think we'd all kind of still be on his side. Like, we get how he was feeling. He just delivered it in the worst way possible.
We all and I really don't feel like there's any teams here in this one, because sometimes it is clear and sometimes it's like, oh, you both kind of messed up in some way. Greg lashed out. Katie, I think, like, maybe because it's hard though, because it's like we don't really know what Katie was feeling.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Like, and it is. Because if Katie was like, no, it's you, it's Greg, then it would make sense for her to fight for him more. But if she's like, I still don't really know, like, it could be you, it could be Blake.
Yeah.
Then
it's incredibly rational of her, and we haven't seen it in seasons of late, the last few years. It's rational of her to not want to say I love you to every guy.
Extremely.
Like, and that, but unfortunately for her, what happens is, then we can't read what's going on. Like, Greg is an open book. He's just like, this is how I feel. This is what's going on. And Katie, on a reality show, but also is legitimately dating a couple guys, doesn't want to show her cards to any of them. So then us as the viewer are kind of like, well, I don't know where she stands. I feel like Greg was the one. Like, once it got down to it, I think Greg was legitimately the one. And they just couldn't, for whatever reason, communicate that to each other in a way that satisfied both parties, and it just blew up in their faces.
And there was a lot of jokes on Twitter about acting and the performance, and let's all remember Greg went to acting school
a lifetime.
Greg deserves to win the EGOT if that was like when they were on the couch after when Greg showed up at her room. Yeah, like his emotions felt so real in the way because they were angry, like because he was lashing out, because it was like I was like, this feels like I'm watching a very legitimate fight between like a girlfriend and a boyfriend, like about feelings and like that felt like an actual conversation that girlfriends and boyfriends have like when they're about to get engaged.
Even the way they were like talking,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, their cadence even was like, my friend tweeted something about it. It was like, it gave her like, what do you want energy? Like Ryan Gosling told, like, what do you want? Like talking to Adams. I mean, that's exactly what it was like. Like that emotion behind the face is like, I can't imagine how you fake that. And if you're acting there, like
I said, fantastic acting. If that was really, but it felt very, very real. And it really we watched the bottom of a door for like 15 minutes. Trent, you tweeted that, like Katie was in that bathroom, and I have been happy to have Caitlyn and Tayshia all season, but this is a prime example of why like Caitlyn and Tayshia are so good in this situation, specifically Caitlyn, because she was the one in the moment. But you would hope like Caitlyn helps Katie in some way, because Katie feels like she's ready to go, and Caitlyn's been in the situation before.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's all very serious, and there's real feelings being thrown around. And like you said, Fran, it felt like a real argument between the two of them. But this show, man, last 15 minutes was just a door, and I could not look away. Like, that's when you know it's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
There's just subtitles, a bathroom door. Sometimes they would flash to the paranormal activity view where it's like in the hotel room where you can't really see anything.
Yeah.
Again, it's very serious, but boy, did I get a real kick out of that.
It was a masterpiece, as usual. Masterpiece.
Kelly, if you would pull up the YouTube perhaps and get to see some comments, some questions for those watching. Let's see how you guys are feeling. Let us know. Are we sad for Greg? Are we sad for Katie? Are we sad for both? Are we mad at Greg?
I think paranormal activity view where it's like
that's me.
Oh, that's you. I was like, I hear Trent, but Trent's not talking.
We pulling up the YouTube. All right.
And because I think a lot of people are torn. There's a lot of back and forth, but there was for sure some manipulation there on Greg's side. I don't like the way that he left. Made me feel like he kind of just gave up on it and didn't want to like fight for it anymore. Right. And it's going to be very uncomfortable for these other guys.
Right. When Greg walked outside and Katie followed him and they were outside and she was once again like holding onto his legs. Yeah. I think there's nothing that she could have said that would have made him come back. I think he was just totally out at that point.
Yeah.
I don't even know, like, even if she like professed his love to him in that moment, I think he still would have found a way to be like, well, you ruined it in that moment. And like, I still need to leave. But I'm still I can't believe it. I'm gone back and forth 9 million times. I hated that. And that moment felt like, okay, he's leaving because like he doesn't want to be here. And he clearly like, you know, great Bachelor audition, heartbroken exit, the whole thing. But he really seemed like he poured his feelings to his family. Like, I don't think you sit there with your mom and lie to your mom's face about like saying that this girl's the one. It would be crazy to me if he was like, Mom, just go along with me here. Like,
right.
It's total bullshit, but
she seemed genuine too. Like his mom seemed normal. She was the one who said, like, it's so nice to see you like this. I can't imagine some mom being like going along with something so like sentimental. It's her husband that's dead. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. No. Like, I think he had that final like, holy shit, this is a reality show and I'm gonna propose and there's two other dudes here, like complete and utter panic attack.
Right. I really do think it was genuine. Like, I don't think it was all one way or all the other. Like, I think he was genuine up to a point and then he freaked out.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. Do you want to read some cues?
Yeah. Let's get some questions.
We have someone asking me, do we think this is the end of the fantasy suites? Great question, I think, because Katie seems to be.
There's no fantasy suites.
No way, right?
There's no way. Yeah. There can't be. I mean, we had that weird preview of Caitlyn and Tayshia sitting down with Blake and Justin. Like, something weird is going to happen here. I don't know if they're just going to skip it completely, or maybe Katie really does leave. Like, I just like maybe Katie really does leave, and we see what happens. Maybe shit happened after she left. Like maybe she leaves and, you know, fucking Blake shows up at her door 2 weeks later or something. Like there's no, and I don't know if they're manipulating us, the show, but there's no ring preview. There's no looking at rings. There's no opening engagement boxes. There's nothing. There's nothing. They've shown nothing.
I'd say the odds on right now are that she leaves.
Yeah.
Those have got to be the highest odds. I really feel like she's got to just go.
Like, as much as I like Blake and her together, the feelings are definitely strong there, and I think that could work. But right now it feels like, and again, I'm probably being manipulated by the show as well, but it feels like she's gone.
I don't know how she gets And after blatantly saying on the show and knowing that she is saying this out loud, like, Greg, if you're gone, I'm gone. Like, if you leave, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to bounce back a week later and be like, oh my God, I'm so in love with Blake. I can't wait for him to propose.
Or Justin wins.
Well, that brings us
Also,
to
I
our
mean,
next question.
Justin being in the top 2.
Well, listen, our next question is, what do we think of Justin saying he's in love? Justin being like, I'm in love.
Guys, when
Justin,
Katie said,
Katie
straight up said on their hometown, our chemistry is undeniable. And I audibly laughed on my couch. I was like, what
liar. Why should I get a lie like that?
I see the chemistry with Greg. I see the chemistry with Blake. What chemistry with Justin?
As Greg and Katie were just going at it in that hotel room, yelling at each other, I just pictured Justin in his hotel room, just like watching TV in his boxers, like, man, this is pretty great. Like, I got a chance with this thing. Like, it's just, I've really flipped on it, though. It's so amazing to me that he's still around that I hope that he gets down on one knee, proposes to Katie, and they sail off into the sunset together.
It's also incredibly hilarious to think of Justin also in his room being like, like, if I go home, what's the best spot for me? And he doesn't even know, like, he's already made it to the next week. Like, he's already on. He's like,
he has no idea what's going on. Like, he doesn't know he has no chance of fucking Katie. Like, he has zero chance of having sex with her, and he has no idea.
That was the other thing. Another time my jaw dropped, hit the floor when Greg was like, what am I supposed to just go to fantasy suites and just make love to you? And just like, I was like,
what is this? Make love all night and
literally clutch pearls. Clutch pearls. I was like, what are you talking about?
That's a guy who knows the show. And he's like, what are they going to come back from a commercial break and our clothes are going to be all over the floor? And there's going to be fruit and breakfast out. Like, what's going to happen?
I just make rose and then make love to you and just have this all be like, that was actually, to be honest, now that you mentioned the Notebook, that rant was kind of Ryan Gosling-esque. He may have gotten some pointers.
That one literally right there was like, what am I supposed to just accept the rose and go to fantasy suites and make love to you and then we get engaged? Like that. Yeah, that's gonna be how it goes, probably, Greg, if you hang around.
Oh my God. All right, Kelly, what else do we got?
Let's do another one. We got this I think is a good one. What do we think the true order of hometowns was, like, filmed in? Like, do we think that Greg's was last or do we think it was first?
Ooh.
You know how they're always, we never really know what order it was in. Based on, I think it truly was last, because I feel like
it was last. I think Justin's might have been first.
Yes, I agree. Or it might have been true to the order that they showed, because I feel like Blake, I feel like she wouldn't have had such a bad time, or seemed to have such a bad time on Justin's, if not like already comparing it to another better home.
Yeah, and I don't know if they would have been able to get that soundbite from Greg being like, I saw a glimpse of Blake's one-on-one hometown.
Yeah, that'd be a big lie. Yeah.
Yeah. They would have had to splice that together somehow.
Yeah, they might have aired it in the order that they did it.
Yeah, I know that they certainly move it around sometimes, but this did feel like the only other combination I could think would it be Justin, Blake, then Greg, but I don't think Greg's could have come.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Someone else says, I guess Nick Vial thinks that, says that he thinks Katie was only keeping Justin around for fantasy suites. Do we think that's true? That seems kind of funny.
I mean,
like what? And then also,
why not? That's very much could have been a possibility.
I mean, yeah. Also, maybe this last one we'll do. What do you guys think about the montage at the end of the episode, the In Memoriam for their relationship?
Did Greg die?
I always miss these. I'm always running around. But
oh my God.
Noah, before we came on, said that they did like an In Memoriam.
They straight up did an In Memoriam of Katie and Greg's relationship. Like Greg coming out of Greg coming out of the limo.
Yeah.
Like the fireworks, the rain kiss, everything. Like,
and they stole the In Memoriam graphic like from the Oscars this year. Like, it was literally that. It said like In Memoriam and then a montage of their shit.
So
it was pretty wild.
This might be a stupid question, but we're for sure that Greg is gone?
I mean, I didn't see his face go anywhere. I'll say that.
I think he's gone.
Okay.
I'll believe it when I see his cold dead body in the ground. You know.
Because
I
caught part of the preview where they obviously only showed Blake and Justin, but like that doesn't always mean what
I don't know what to think. This is some of the most confused I've been with like the last 2-3 episodes of a season in a long time. Because like so many of the past seasons, you kind of know what's going to happen. You can kind of feel who they're going to pick, and it doesn't really turn into a disaster, or it's so ridiculous. You're like, oh, this is never going to work for this couple.
Yeah.
These emotions are too real. Too real.
They're too real.
Feels too intense between Michael and his emotional goodbye and this whole last hour and whatever's going to happen to Blake. Like we did not get 3 hometowns of just Blake Moynes shooting darts and grabbing ass.
Yeah. No, we definitely did not. Another thing people are still blowing up the chat about is, do we think that Greg and Katie maybe will get together like after the show is over?
I mean, truly anything is possible.
I know.
Katie tweeted something too tonight about Blake's sister, saying like, just wait until next week with Blake's sister. So
about brutal honesty. She was like, if you think she's brutally honest now, like wait until you see her at the finale. So I assume after the final rose.
This might be one of the most explosive after the final roses ever. We're like,
that's right, Fran. We're ready to see now.
Greg and Katie in the hot seat together is must-watch TV at this point.
Fuck, I really don't know what happens. I just have no idea.
I feel like it's so cute because we're all just like, guys, gosh darn it, I really just don't know.
I don't. I
feel great about this episode.
She could end up with Blake. I'll tell you what, I thought it was going to be a pretty normal episode. Like, I thought things were going to be pretty chill. And then when they were sitting on that couch and it just shifted a little bit, all fucking hell broke loose.
Yeah. It really did. It really did.
This might have been my favorite episode of this franchise in a really long time. I think start to finish, it was fantastic. The juxtaposition between Blake's hometown and Justin's was hysterical and great.
Yep.
And then Greg's, like, beginning to end, everything was just, it was explosive. You're right. It was explosive. It was fantastic. And I tipped my cap.
You are right. Nick Vial again a couple hours ago did tweet like, this is one of the best episodes like of this show ever. And I was like, wow, okay, like really gearing up for it. And I think it lived up to that. Like you said, it had it all. So let's wrap it up by giving out some roses and cutting some stems. I don't even know where to begin. And either of you want to go first? I'll let you guys decide.
I can go first. I think that we can collectively say that we give a rose to Emily Moynes. Family.
For sure. That's just a team rose. Team rose. Yep.
A general group rose. I'd also maybe like to give a little side rose to Caitlin Bristow for being a sweet friend to Katie. I think you said that before, Fran. It was really sweet. It's great that she could be there. That was wonderful. Love Caitlin. My stem goes to Justin's family. I'll have Justin's back for a little bit. That was really mean that they couldn't just come hang out for a little while. They just couldn't come have a good time with him. Left him in the dust like that, basically. Rushed him off the phone. So sick of him. I felt bad for Justin. So I'm cutting the stem of his entire family. He doesn't need him anyway.
That's very fair. Justin's mom just being like, nah, we're good.
You took all the good things.
Damn. Well, sorry. I figured everybody would want Emily Moynes in the Moynes.
If I can just give my rose to Emily Moynes as well,
Trent. You can give a double.
I'd also really love to give my rose to Justin because I really think that's one of the funniest things that I've ever seen on the show. I cannot get enough of him still being around. Stem, the latter part of the conversation that Greg had, I'd like to cut his rose for that. It just seemed like way too much. She was clearly overwhelmed and not handling the moment great. And so for him to be like, rah! Like going crazy, it was like, dude, just everybody just take 3 deep breaths. And if you end up still wanting to go home, that's fine. But you don't need to storm out of there and make it feel like it's all her fault. Like that was a little bit too much for me. So I'm gonna cut Greg's step.
Yeah, as clearly a Jersey boy, Greg. I gotta say, Kelly, it all felt all too familiar, did it not?
Yes, it sure did, Fran. Just
It really
really hit home.
kind of hit home a little too hard.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Too much.
Shout out to all of Greg's exes out there. I feel like they have probably. I hope they're not watching this because
I know I'm trying to have a glass of wine with all of them.
Yeah, like from the way he spoke to Katie in that situation, that's I feel like was not a good sign for how he's been in relationships in the past. Oh boy, guys, I'm gonna give my rose to. Oh, it's so tough.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, Emily Moynes is the only one that deserves a rose this entire. I'll be very specific. Emily Moynes' outfit.
Yes.
Killer outfit, head to toe. She crushed it. And I will say Blake's whole family really like. I'm gonna give a rose to his sister as well. I thought they did such a great job. And that darts game I thought was really cute. Like that was a fun date idea. I liked that. Cutting. Oh boy. I mean, it's gotta be the way, and I can think we're really just picking the same things here, Trent.
Well, this was an episode that was very focused on.
It was very focused on exactly. Like I think it kind of has to go to Greg, like just getting up and leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just really handled that whole thing poorly, I think. And obviously emotions were high. Oh, and one other, I do want to give credit to Justin's friends.
Okay.
You know, it's like his parents didn't show up. It was the B Squad hometown, but like those are good pals. Mm-hmm. When you're like, guys, like my fucking parents aren't coming. Like I need you to show up. And they answered the call, and they did that, and they seemed very sweet and cared about Justin a lot. But there's almost too many emotions to cut. Actually, you know what? Let's really stir the pot here.
Oh,
I'm cutting, and Kelly, you might not like this. I'm cutting Greg's use of pork roll because I say Taylor ham.
I am 100% 50-50 on that. My parents say Taylor ham. People I know growing up said pork roll. I'll say it either way. So I'm not offended and I understand it.
just really wanted to like throw a little spice into our New Jersey listeners out there.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
I would have gone with Taylor ham, but that's just me.
And he's North kind of too. He should have said Taylor.
Yeah, I know. That really should have been the debate.
It really should have been.
How about this? I don't have a stem or a rose for this, but how about Justin and Katie on their date? Just their shared love of blue cheese is
yeah.
He was like he was like blue cheese or ranch. She was like blue cheese. He was like, are you serious? Come on. I like blue cheese. It's like, well, these two, that's a match made in heaven right there.
Oh man. They really do seem like very great friends. That's really feels like that's about it. But guys, we are in for, I'll say it again, an explosive episode next week. Can't wait to break it down with you guys. We got a 3-hour finale, so buckle up. It's going to be quite an after the final rose, and we'll go right into cutting stems after that. Make sure you stock up. Get 2, 3, 4 bottles because it's going to be a long 3 hours. You got to stay stocked up. Get your Owens Mixers, Amazon.com/Owens Mixers. Trent, Kelly, thank you. Good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Mwah.